Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at another one of the Season 16 updated Pokemon, and that is Triple Axel being given to Hitmontop. Triple Axel has the same stats as Icy Wind, but instead of lowering your opponent's attack, it actually boosts your attack. And considering Hitmontop's second charge move is Close Combat, being able to fire off boosted Close Combats makes Hitmontop a serious threat and makes it have legitimate anti-meta play. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Triple Axel Hitmontop in the Great League. Picking up a terrible lead in the first match, Carbink into Shadow Steelix. Immediate save switch into Surfetch'd. Opponent is going to respond with Shadow Gligar. Farming up with the Surfetch'd, winning CMP with the Brave Bird. Do they respect it? They do not, and Shadow Gligar gets one shot. Opponent is going to send back in the Shadow Steelix. Thanks to the lowered defense, Dragon Tails will make quick work of the Surfetch'd. But now I can send in Hitmontop. Hitmontop will be able to absorb multiple Breaking Swipes as it commits to the farm down. And I'm going to be double debuff leaving this matchup, so I fully intend on switching into the Carbink to reset the debuffs, and then potentially buff myself with Triple Axel later. In the back, it's Deoxys, and boy, I am incredibly happy that I was able to win switch with the Brave Bird here. This should have been a triple hard counter, but thanks to Surfetch'd, now I actually have a chance to win. I'm running Tackle on Carbink specifically because Tackle ends up giving it a lot more play into its worst matchups, so it makes it a bit more of a generalist, whereas with Rock Throw, it does tend to be a bit more of an alignment-dependent Pokemon. They go for the Thunderbolt. This is a fully maxed out Carbink. Between going to GoFest New York City and the Global GoFest, I was able to get enough XLs for this, and this thing is just absurdly bulky. I'm able to switch back into the Hitmontop, and now we get the combo play. Triple Axel into the boosted Close Combat, and that's going to be goodbye Defense Deoxys. The tough leads continue in the next match, leading Carbink into Shadow Aeslash. Two better responses in the back, so I save switch into Surfetch'd, and my opponent responds with Shadow Charizard. I'm farming up, and I'm able to make it to the Brave Bird. Brave Bird will be grabbing a shield from the Shadow Charizard, and it's a CMP tie as well. That is fantastic. My opponent is going to undercharge, so they get an extra wing attack. Now, since I'm running Tackle on Carbink, it does make the matchup into Shadow Charizard a lot worse for Carbink, but it is still a pretty good matchup, because as you're going to see, they can go for multiple Blast Burns, and XL Carbink is just way too tanky, able to absorb all this energy and just commit to the farm down here. They go for another Blast Burn, continuing to farm with the Carbink. Opponent is going to switch out, and they send in Sandslash. Honestly, I should have just saved the energy and countered down with the Hitmontop, but either way, I should hopefully be in an okay position. Ice Punch, not going to do a lot of damage. Hitmontop does have some pretty okay bulk to it. In the back, it's Medicham, and that's not what I was hoping to see. I'm firing off the Triple Axel. I need to boost myself immediately. The good news is I'm very close to a Moonblast on the Carbink. So all I have to do is get the shield, and that can set up a potential Moonblast. So I'm farming up with the Hitmontop, and I'm going for the boosted Close Combat. This is going to hurt. Opponent lets it go. The boosted Close Combat KOs, and Hitmontop takes the win. Moving into the next match, leading Carbink into Medicham. And this is one of the matchups that I really like having Tackle on Carbink. As you can see, Tackle actually provides some fast move pressure into the Medicham, whereas previously, Rock Throw was resisted, did basically nothing. They go for the Dynamic Punch, and as you can see, fully XL'd Carbink is just an absolute beast. Tanking the Dynamic Punch like it's nothing. In comes Diggersby, and I'm going to respond with the Duck. In comes Surfetch'd, able to tank the Scorching Sands and fire off the Leaf Blade. Surfetch'd looking for the farm down and getting the farm down. That is quite nice. And if the Medicham tries to farm down, I will be able to make it to the Leaf Blade. In comes the Medicham. Leaf Blade will not KO, but it will get Medicham into tackle down range, so Medicham will commit the shield. And now I can bring back in the Carbink, and I'm going to shield here, because Dynamic Punch will do quite a lot of damage. I commit the shield, I'm farming up, tried to throw in the middle of the counter there, unfortunately ended up throwing on alignment. Moonblast will be shielded, farming up with the Carbink, and I'm able to make it to another Moonblast. This is going to be taking care of the Medicham. What is that final Pokemon? And it's Mandibuzz. I could have stayed in with the Carbink, but may as well let Hitmontop close out the game in style. Triple Axel, super effective damage, and again boosting the attack. This move is so much fun to use. as now Hitmontop just gets to do even more damage. I have the shield, I can shield up the aerial ace, and now I can go for a second triple axle or the close combat here. I'm gonna go for the triple axle. It is a pretty cool animation here. So triple axle into the Mandibuzz after a little bit of lag will get the KO. Picking up a positive lead in the next match, Carbink into Pelipper. Even without Rock Throw, this is a positive matchup, so I'm more than happy to stay in here. My opponent is going to save switch into Water Gun Lantern, and I will quickly respond with Surf Edge. Leaf Blade does not KO here, so my opponent can potentially force a shield in the zeros, but they elect to shield. Honestly, that's preferable for me, as the more shields that are used, the better this matchup is for Surf Edged. I'm looking to farm up with the Surf Edged, over farming slightly, and going for another Leaf Blade. From this range, this should about KO, so my opponent is going to commit the shield. They are desperately trying to flip switch, and I'm not about to let that happen. Even if they get a bunch of energy on Pelipper, XL Carbink will be able to withstand a bunch of Weather Balls. I'm firing off the Leaf Blade here on very low HP, but I'm able to keep switch. Opponent sends in Lurantis as their final Pokemon, and I'm going to respond with Hitmontop. Have to watch for a potential catch. Opponent is going to send in Pelipper, and I quickly respond with Carbink. Carbink fires off the rock side. No shields remaining, so that's massive, super effective damage. They have a bunch of energy on the Pelipper, but it's not going to matter. Look at the bulk of Carbink. Oh my goodness. Super effective Weather Ball number 1, super effective Weather Ball number 2, not even in the red health until they throw more wing attacks. Lurantis forced to throw, and I have the triple axle loaded on the Hitmontop. In comes the Hitmontop, going for the triple axle here. Triple axle will grab the KO, and that's game over. We've got the Battle of the Bulk in the next match, Carbink versus Lickitung. I have two better responses in the back, so I save switch into Surf Edge, and my opponent responds with Deoxys. I'm definitely happy to bait out the defense Deoxys, as that way my Hitmontop will not have to see it in the endgame. Leaf Blade number 1 will be no shielded, and if this second Leaf Blade lands, I can make a play for switch advantage. My opponent does not want to let that happen, and they're going to commit the shield. So not only did I bait out their Psychic type, but I got a shield advantage as well. They go for the Thunderbolt, they do not want to lower their attack, and in comes Carbink. I'm hoping to make it to the rock side before they make it to the move. Carbink getting to the rock side, but losing CMP. I would have loved to outpace there, that's very unfortunate. They go for the Psycho Boost to get some chip damage, and I will get the KO with the Rock Slide. When they bring in the Lickitung, I'm sending in Hitmontop, but in the back, it's a Medicham, and that's not what I was hoping to see. But I have a shield advantage. Let's see what Hitmontop can do. I fire off the triple axle. Medicham is going to no-shield the first. Future triple axles, of course, will do more. They're firing off a charge move. They go for Dynamic Punch, and I commit the shield. I'm going for triple axle number 2. Medicham is going to have to start shielding here. Medicham commits the shield. I'm now double boosted. They are grabbing my final shield as they go for the Ice Punch. This is going to be a race. Hitmontop able to make it to the triple axle with a small amount of HP remaining. I'm going to get some triple boosted counters onto the Lickitung. Lickitung gets the farm down, but they take some damage while doing so. And now I'm going to need Carbink to clutch here. Lickitung firing off the Power Whip that will hit for super effective damage. Can Carbink make it to the Moonblast here? The answer is yes, but I think Lickitung is just too tanky. Moonblast not going to be enough to KO here, as Lickitung able to withstand the fast move pressure from Tackle and get the win with the Power Whip. Picking up a decent lead in the next match, Carbink into Beedrill. Now, I don't have Rock Throw, but my opponent does not know that, so they're going to save switch into Lurantis. I'm going to stay in with the Carbink, tank a move, and then I can switch out of here. I wanted to get some energy on the Carbink, so that way I could threaten the Beedrill when it comes back in later in the match. Lurantis is going to fire off a Leaf Blade into Hitmontop. Hitmontop farming up, and I'm just going straight for the triple axle here. Let's get the KO, and let's get my damage boosted. As Hitmontop now boosted, opponent can send in the Beedrill here, but if Beedrill tries to farm down, Hitmontop is going to make it to a boosted triple axle, and this will put some pressure on their shields. They're going to commit the shield. They do get the farm down, and they do leave with energy here. In comes the Carbink, going for the rock slide, but losing CMP. I'm going to shield up the Drill Run here. Opponent actually running Sludge Bomb instead, so the opponent not running Legacy Move on the Beedrill, instead opting for the Sludge Bomb. Rock Slide does massive damage. In the back, it's Quagsire, and Surf Edge will be able to close out this game. They're able to make 2 Mud Bombs before I make 2 Leaf Blades, but the nice thing is I can tank a Mud Bomb. And they definitely cannot take a Leaf Blade. So I can no shield here. Mud Bomb does a lot of damage, but Quagsire will not be able to farm down. Sirfetch'd makes the Leaf Blade, gets the KO of the Quagsire, and Beedrill gets countered down as well. We see a familiar lead in the next match, Carbink into Pelipper. Definitely happy to catch the Pelipper on the lead. Pelipper staying in this matchup to start, and they're going for the Weather Ball right off the bat. Easy no shield for me. I know I can tank a bunch of Weather Balls here. Continuing to farm up with the Carbink. They're not switching out, so I'm going to fire off the Rock Slide. This will do a lot of damage. Pelipper is going to let that through, and they're going to make it to the Weather Ball. I'm more than happy to tank this and just tackle down and win switch advantage here. That's exactly what my opponent lets me do. My opponent sends in A-Slash. I'm going to pivot into the Sirfetch'd, and they're going to send in Shadow Charizard. I'm able to make it to the back-to-back Leaf Blades here. My opponent should be shielded in the first. After they see I'm running Leaf Blade, they're probably going to be no shield in the next one, but honestly, even double resisted, the damage still adds up. And now I can send in Carbink. They're forced to go for the Blast Burn to get the KO here. They go for the Blast Burn, but now I can send in Hitmontop. Hitmontop gets the farm down, and there's just nothing A-Slash can do here, as A-Slash will get fully countered down. Picking up a decent lead in the next match, Carbink into Defense Deoxys. With 2 fighters in the back, definitely happy to catch the Psychic type on the lead. I'm going to tank whatever they throw and then look to return fire with some charge moves. They go for the Psycho Boost, they save switch into Mudshot Greedent, and Greedent is now lightning fast thanks to that new fast move of Mudshot. Body Slam will connect. I'm farming up, firing off the Leaf Blade on the CMP tie, but this Leaf Blade is not going to KO. Greedent is actually going to force a shield from my fighter in the zeros. That is definitely unfortunate, as being down a shield, not necessarily what I'm hoping for. Deoxys has a Psycho Boost loaded, so they can bring in the Deoxys and deny my energy. So I have Switch, but I had to give up a shield to do so. Psycho Boost will connect. In comes the Carbink in the back. It's Shadow Steelix, and Shadow Steelix will strike first as they go for the Breaking Swipe. Breaking Swipe is going to lower my attack, but the good news is I can bring my attack right back to normal with Triple Axle. Triple Axle will be no-shielded by the Steelix. Great call by my opponent. Steelix makes it to the last second move, and I'm just going to let this go. I'm going to trust in Carbink to win this game. Carbink tackles down. In comes the Deoxys. And I'm going to bait with the Rock Slide here. I'm probably going to have to land a Moonblast to win this game, or, realistically, probably land multiple Rock Slides. But I think, unfortunately, my opponent has just played this game more or less perfectly, and I think they're going to be able to beat me here, as I'm going to need probably 2 Rock Slides, because a Moonblast does about 1/3 of Deoxys' health, but they definitely have more than 1/3 of their HP here. I'm farming up, and they are going to make it to another charge move. It's the Psycho Boost. I live with a sliver of HP. I'm so close to the back-to-back Rock Slides, but as you're going to see, Carbink runs out of HP, and that's game over. Hopping into the final match, leading Carbink into one final Medicham. And again, for this matchup, I am so happy that I am running Tackle. I can very comfortably tank whatever they throw. I was seeing a lot of Dynamic Punch Medicham. Psychic got nerfed, so people are trying out the Dynamic Punch. Unfortunately here, there was some lag or some just frame drops or whatever was going on there, not quite sure. Tried to time it as best as I could, but unfortunately I do end up throwing on alignment, giving them an entire counter for free. They go for Dynamic Punch number 2. The fact that Carbink can tank 2 Dynamic Punches is absolutely absurd. Moonblast is going to grab a shield from the Medicham, and now I can send in Sirfetch'd. Sirfetch'd, I'm going to be shielding whatever they throw here, looking to overfarm and just lead with energy. They go for the Dynamic Punch. I'm overfarming and going for the Leaf Blade. This way, if they send in something that's weak to Brave Bird, I'm pretty close to the Brave Bird. Opponent sends in a Powder Snow A9. Oh my goodness. We're going for the Brave Bird. Goodbye, Ninetales. In the back, it's a Shadow Swampert, and Swampert will get the Mudshot farm down. I can send in Hitmontop. And the nice thing is, as long as I don't get Earthquaked, I win this game. So I shield here. Their only win con is to full send the Earthquake. They bait with the Hydro, but I live a Shadow Hydro Cannon here. Hitmontop has some pretty solid bulk, able to withstand that damage and make the close combat. So Hitmontop gets the job done. All in all, I think Triple Axel is an awesome upgrade to Hitmontop. It takes Hitmontop from a Pokemon that basically had zero usage ever to a legit anti-meta option. Medicham still going to be the preferred fighter of choice, but it definitely feels like Hitmontop has a role, especially considering the fact that it can now boost itself, and boosted close combats, even when resisted, are absolutely terrifying to battle against. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been Home Slice Henry.